Hi guys, Barry Casson here again. Today we're going to be talking all about this puppy right here called the SLATE. It's called Sticks. It's called the Clapper, right? Using motion pictures. You've all seen it, right? Well, when you're around a movie set and you hear someone yelling and telling everybody what to do, just to let you know that is not the director. That is the AD or the assistant director whose job it is to keep the crew moving through the shoot, right? And very often when everything is ready to go, the AD will yell, quiet on set or settle or something. Everybody gets quiet down. He says, roll sound. Now that means that the sound operator working with what used to be a Nagra recorder, a very sophisticated tape unit. Now it's mostly digital, but he'll say roll sound, and the person running the sound will then yell out speed. That's from the old days where they turn on the machine and the sound would take a second or two to get up to 24 frames a second, which was the speed that movies were recorded at. So as soon as that was, he had a little flag on his machine saying I'm at speed, he would yell speed, okay, roll sound, speed, and then the AD would say roll camera. The camera person would turn on the camera and yell rolling. Okay, now we've got roll sound, speed, roll camera, rolling, and then he says mark it. Now at that point, the second assistant cameraman or camera person will come in and with the slate, the stick, the clapper, whatever you want to call it, the three different names, will come in and say something like, scene 36, take 5, marker, clap it, and away we go. And at that point, the director calls action, right? So what about all this? What does it mean? Well, sound, before 1927, everything was silent, and then sound came in. And they needed a way to synchronize both the sound and the picture. And this is where the slate came in. They call it slate because in those days it was a slate and they marked it with chalk, right? So this was the way they could do it. Now, why we do this is when we get to editing, the editor has both sound and he has both picture. Now, in the olden days, they would have a unit, a different unit, like a moviola kind of thing, and they'd look through the film and they'd find the first frame where this actually touched. So they're slowing it down and they're going, okay, where's that frame where it actually touched, like there, just like that. And they'd put an X on it. And then they look at the sound they had and they put another X on the sound, you see, to know that this is where it actually touched. And then on sound, they'd be looking for what they called the first stridation of sound, which was the first little bit where this actually started to make a sound, right? And in slow motion, this would sound like this, just like that. And he'd find that and put an X on it. Then he would line up both the sound with an X that he had marked and the picture with an X that he had marked, put them together, and then roll everything forward. And our lips work properly, not like those late night movies, where they're all out of sync, that kind of thing. So that's why we need this to synchronize. Now, the modern version of this has what we call time code, which is numbers running across it. It's the same thing. As soon as he does that, he knows where those numbers are, and he can line those numbers up with what's on the time code on the tape or on the digital audio, right? The numbers would be the same, okay? So he can line them up together because they both have the same time code. Right. So now what about this baby and how it operates? Well, let's look at some of the information on here. We've got scene, take, and roll. A scene is not a shot. A scene is a compilation of many shots, right? Master shots, medium shots, over-the-shoulder shots, close-ups, inserts, reactions, cutaways. They're all shots within the scene. So it takes a while to do a scene, right? Because you have to keep moving the camera, change all things. So a scene is quite involved. The take, okay, if you're doing a master shot or a wide shot, how many takes are you doing of that? You're doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you're a Clint Eastwood movie, you get 1 or 2 and you move on. He's such a master. When I was studying film in Hollywood years ago, I remember we were doing some commercials out in the valley, and I forget what I was doing on it, but I wasn't directing. I was just, one of the guys. And I remember watching the director, he'd done like 30 or 40 different takes of this one scene. It was like, God, how many do you need? But I guess some guys are just not very secure. And I remember another one we did, what was funny, where we had it was a commercial for a bank, and we had a little boy who had these little porcelain piggy bank, and he sort of put it up to the bank teller, and he he was going to save the money, wanted to have the bank teller take the money out and put it in, right? Anyway, it's just, I learned an important lesson that day, because when the little boy got up to do that, he made a mistake and dropped, and the porcelain piggy bank hit the floor and crashed. So we had a few more, and we start over again. And the director came over to me and said, Barry, I want you to run into town to the old mission and get me another 3 or 4 of those. I thought, well, you've got a couple, you know. And anyway, I said, sure. So I went in and picked them up and came back. And wouldn't you know it, when I got back, the kid had broke 2 more. You know, now this director's pretty smart. He could see this was the way it was going. And he knew that if all of a sudden he dropped the last one, the whole production would stop. Well, I ran in and came back. So he had me pick them up early. And of course, we had enough to complete the shoot. I learned something that day about that. Okay, so let's get back to this. So we got a scene. We got a take. How many takes do you do of the master, the close-up, the 2-shot, and whatever? And then we got the roll. This refers to the film in the camera. Is it roll 1, roll 2, roll 22, roll 3, whatever it is? That's pretty straightforward. Now, down here we have the director's name, which would be in here where it says action. I just wrote that in there for, I don't know why I wrote it in. It goes natural with SLATE, okay? So we have the director's name, and then we have over here DOP. What is the DOP? Well, that stands for the Director of Photography. In the U.S., they refer to them as a DP. In Canada, we used to refer to them as a DOP. I think we're more or less coming around to the same thing, just DP, as Director of Photography, right? Then you have the date, of course. What's the date for it? Then you have these things down. Is it a day shot? You'd circle that, right? It's a day shot. Or is it an interior? Okay, it's an interior, not an outside shot, an interior shot. And then we have, I'll just leave sync for it. Then we have sound. Yes, you'd circle that because it's with sound. Now, you also have, is it a night shot? Okay, it's night. You'd circle that, right? Is it exterior rather than interior? You'd circle that, right? You see that? And then we have this wonderful thing called MOS. And people used to say to me, what does MOS mean? And I said, well, simply it means we're shooting it without sound. You know, MOS. And they'd laugh. And it actually came from, it's still used today, by the way. It came from a German director in Hollywood in the early days who wanted some things with sound and some without sound. And he was German, and he would say, I would like an MOS, please. MOS meant without sound. And ever since that, today, we have MOS, which means without sound. And then does the cameraman have a filter on it? What filter? A fog filter? You know, a low contrast filter? Just little information. It just gives information in a quick setup just from looking at it. That one frame will tell you a lot of stuff, right? Now, let's look at the technical aspects of operating this. The second assistant camera person is the person who operates. So when somebody comes in and the AD says, okay, mark it, he runs in the shot and he goes, scene 34, take 5, marker, and clicks it like that, right? Now, here's what can go wrong. If he's a rookie, he's got to watch out for these things. First of all, you don't talk over the sight. You don't go scene 35 takes, scene 35, you know, and start in scene what? You know, you want to, everything has to be done clinically like this. Scene 35, take 6, mark. You see how I talked over it? Mark. Don't do that. You want to go scene 35, take 6, marker. That's all clean. The editor's got all the information he wants, right? That's how it works. Now, some of the things that go wrong is someone will be, how then as a rookie, he might go like this. Scene 35, take 6, mark. And just when he's doing this, he's taking it out of the frame, he goes, marker. And the editor can't quite see where that came together because he's going, see what I mean? Okay, that's a bad thing. So you got to watch it. You also got to watch that you don't put your hands over the information. Can you see that? So I'm covering some of that information. You don't want to do that either, right? So those are things that the person operating the SLATE has to do. And some of these guys are really cool today. They do it one-handed. You know, they do it like that because they've just developed, looks cool to do that, whatever. So those are some of the things. And you want to know where to put the SLATE. Now, this is a little more technical, but the second assistant cameraman could talk to the camera operator, and he could say, what's your focal length? Now, for those who are not technical, it simply means, think of it as, are we on a wide-angle shot or are we on a telephoto, like a headshot? That's important. If the camera operator says we're 25 mil or something, 20 mil, it means you're on a wide shot. You got a lot of it. So the person doing this could come almost right in front of the camera. It's very clear. Boom, there it is right there. I'm in front of the camera and I've done it. But if he says we're on a 150 millimeter or 120 millimeter shot, that means you're going to be framed up more like this. So you can't come up in front of the camera. It'll be out of focus, right? So you need to stretch out and get an idea. Oh, okay, so now this second assistant would walk out in front of the actor knowing that the frame is like this, okay, like this. So the actor, so he can then put this in front of the actor's face. Everyone can see it and it's in focus and go from there, okay? So those are just a few things about the slate, the sticks, the clapper, that we all work with in film. So I hope that's helpful to you. The next time you're on set and you see that, you have a better idea of what they're doing. All right, I'll have more information on this next time. I'm going to come up with other aspects of film you might find interesting. But if you have friends that are maybe interested in film, tell them to have a look at that, and maybe help them a little bit. And also, I should have mentioned this. I've got my book, of course, which I always try to push, right? How to Become Who You're Meant to Be. It's on Amazon, and it's got my whole life story in here and a lot of stuff on film. A lot of stuff on, I've done over, 60 films now, I guess. A lot of corporate videos, educational films, government stuff, some television drama as well. So this may find some good information for them. And there's also another book I have on Amazon. It's called Corporate Video Production too. That's another good one, could be of help. Anyway, hope that's helpful. Hope you've enjoyed that. And I'll talk to you next time. And that's it. Thank you.